Okay, this is an experiment I tried. I was trying to fix some cables, steering cables for that powered kayak over there. And, you know, racking my brain on how I can get the cable end to stay on good. So what I have here is some silver solder, and what I did is I, in essence, made my own solder pot with the end of an old tire wrench, like a tire iron. I cut it with my grinder, and I just held it between two channel locks. I cleaned it and fluxed it out on the interior. And then what I did is I took some of my silver solder, it's got copper and tin in it as well, and I heated it up with my torch, and I'll show you what happens. I'll show you the result. You gotta cut it short, that way there's not a ton of metal. But right now that is like molten solder, ready for dipping. My experiment will be, I'm going to take I have one of those brass fittings for the end of like a brake cable. I'm going to put it on the cable, and I'm going to flux it with some of this, which is good for stainless steel. Stay clean. It's good for everything but aluminum. It's liquid flux, it's not paste. I'm going to dip it in that, and then I'm going to dip it right in here. I don't know if you can see any of the bubbling going on, but I'll get some solder and I'll show you what I mean. Just melts right into it. That's flux and dirt on the top of it. The best thing to do to get rid of that crap that's inside a socket or something like that is to just take an old screwdriver and you know, work it out. It's just like melting silver or gold. When you put flux into it, the flux draws it to the top. A lot of the impurities, like the copper and the tin, that's normally in non-pure silver. So what I'm going to do is shut my torch off so I don't run out of gas. But basically, I just wanted to show you how to make a, you know, a solder pot for free if you have a torch. This torch was like 10 bucks at Walmart. This I found laying in my toolbox, so I proceeded to chop the end of it off. The less metal the better, because it only acts as a heat sink, drawing the heat away from the pot as you heat it up. And one of these old beat up things works great as a solder pot, and we're going to test it out. Okay, here's what I got so far. I have a brass fitting, whatever you want to call it, a 1/4-inch tube, and it's beveled on one end. So what I did is I took, this is Teflon coated cable. Now what I did is I heated the cable very slowly, you know, passing it through the torch. I don't want to heat it up too much, but if there's any Teflon on there, something tells me that you're better off without it. Just don't breathe it, because if you heat Teflon, it does give off poisonous gas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to dip it in the alcohol to clean it. Swish it around in there nice. I did flay the ends of that cable out when I was after I heated it up. I'm gonna let that sit in the flux, the whole thing right in there. Probably knock the container over. Don't knock the container over. Set this up differently. There we go. I got it sitting in the flux. And now I'm going to turn my pot on, get that ready to go. And I hope this takes. I know I can tin the wires. That's not a problem, because I've already done it. Get my solder pot nice and hot. some bubbling action going on inside there. Not sure why, but I definitely do. I don't know if it's eating away at the brass. Let's hope not. Probably should have had my pot ready first. Alright, I've got some solder that's bubbling, which is telling me that underneath the cover of that, underneath the top of that, is getting up to temperature. There it goes, starting to flow. Yep, and we're just about ready. So, I'm going to take this out, I'm going to dip it, and let's hope for the best. Now I'm going to let that sit in there. Because I've got to bring that brass fitting up to temperature as well to get a good stick on it. I can always clean this with my grinder after I'm done. If at any time I feel this cable getting too hot, which I don't right now, I'm gonna pull it. I don't know if you can see that, but it is definitely soldered on. Beautiful. I might heat it up again, throw it in, but for the time being, this camera, sorry, it doesn't focus within, I'm closer than 18 inches. But the wire is tinned, everything is, it looks strong to me. So I'm going to shut it all down and cool this off with some water, and we'll see what happens after that. We'll give it a test, strength test. Okay, so here it is. This camera's a pain in the ass. It is, I cooled it off. It's extremely strong. You got to be careful when you do this though, because if you go too much in the flux or you clean this too much, it'll wick up. Now it still has flexibility to it, enough for what I need it for a steering cable, but it's so strong. Oh, much better than I've tried pouring solid lead, and this is the key. That's it right there. Make yourself a solder pot, get some good flux. The flux I got at, let's go over the flux again, because that's the most important thing for stainless cable. This is Stay Clean Liquid Flux, works on everything except for aluminum, and I got this for, it cost me $5 at FW Web. They're a plumbing supply company right up the street from the house. I'll show you the solder. I really didn't think this was going to work. I got it at Radio Shack. It was like $8. It's lead-free solder. It's 1.57 millimeter diameter. I don't know how much is on the roll, but anyway, it has inside it, it has, let's see, tin, copper, silver, and that's what's in it. So that's the solder I used. And like I said, it was a brass fitting. That's the end of a socket, a lug wrench that I cut off with a regular propane torch. I filled it with flux first. I didn't fill it all the way, about halfway. Poured the flux right in, heated it up. The flux will catch on fire, so you gotta, feed some solder in there, get it filled up. I poured off the nastiness that was in there. You see the black stuff on the top of the socket. That's just some crud from the inside of the thing. I didn't even really clean that crazy good before I started soldering in it. And it works, so we'll see how it holds up, but it feels extremely strong. And that is how easy it can be to solder a throttle cable, brake cable, clutch cable, whatever you want. Make a solder pot for free. So I got my new steering cable back in, and as I turn the jet on the powered kayak, if you look up there, you can see the stick shift, which is right here. Moves fine, no binding, no nothing, nice and smooth, everything. So it's a success. That's how I'll fix all my cables from now on. I'm just about ready to go back in the water.